right side, up the middle, first down, stiff arms, hop, skips at the 40. P-Rod.
Mayfield, the fade to the corner to Shepard. He got it.
Mixon. Touchdown.
Marquise Brown behind the defense for an Oklahoma touchdown.
5. Murray lofts one up for Campbell.
Oh my gosh.
What a catch.
Hurts, wide open, CD in space, CD Lamb still running, hits the corner, CD
Moved. Purdy, can he rescue this? Purdy lofts it up. Jump ball, and it is intercepted.
up, throws.
Oh, what an interception! Oh my gosh! DJ Graham! Give me that, Odell!
Welcome back, everybody. This is the Chris and Drew Show. It's an AnythingOU Podcast. Today we have a great man. He is long off the tee, and he's a Sooner born in his heart. Trav, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And we also got my main man, my co-host, Drew England. How are you doing today, Drew?
What's going on? Excited to have Trav on, man.
Yeah, man. It's I was ready for this interview. So Trav, I'm gonna jump right into it. How did you get your start as an entrepreneur, and just how did you get started just with life?
My father was a hotel manager around the country. We would travel as a family, actually growing up, because my dad worked for this company where he would basically come in, and if a hotel in the ownership group wasn't performing well, he would come in. He'd basically turn it over a little bit, get it right on the right path, and then we'd move to another spot, whatnot. So kind of grew up literally in the service industry. So kind of lended itself naturally to being where I am today. And so really when I was in school, I always had a job. Even before high school, I was mowing lawns. I had a ton of lawns, probably 20 lawns as I was, 15, 16 years old that I was doing, because money makes the world go around, right? And I like to golf, and golf's an expensive hobby. And it wasn't a situation where I think my parents could have paid for whatever, but I think it was important to them, and it's now important to me that I earned that money for my own hobbies. I didn't just want to go say, oh, I want money for this, play with some toys, and then go and never use them again. You know what I mean? So that was important to me. So always just worked at a young age. The concept of others in high school or even college just not having jobs was so foreign to me. But hey, it was more a job opportunity for me, so I wasn't mad about it. So anyways, I was coming home for this when I was at OU, came home working in restaurants, really just enjoyed restaurants so much more than anything I was studying at OU. I enjoyed being at OU, don't get me wrong, but just when you know what you want to do, you just know, right? So I was like, man, I really like this restaurant stuff. So I actually ended up transferring to Rogers State in Claremore so I could come back and work in the restaurants full time, and work in restaurants full time, and then go back and forth to Claremore. So I really at 22, 23 was like, man, you can make decent money, as a server and bartender, and some of the best money I've made is as a server and bartender at high-end spots, but you can't retire on it really. So I was like, what's next? So I didn't want to go the management route because, it may come with benefits and all this, but the hours are still long, just like an owner's hours, and you don't get the say at the end of the day often. So I just told myself at about 22, 23 that I just wanted to own my own. So I figure if I do it young enough that if it fails, I'll have time to recoup and figure out what the next step is in my life, but it just hasn't failed yet, so there's good news. So opened Trey's Bar and Grill, really did the build out and everything at 24 years old. Finally opened when I was 25 and got that going. And I guess that was when I was 24. So anyways, young, and we just celebrated. We're in our 8th year at Trey's Bar and Grill, and it was always, especially with restaurants, there's nothing more intimate in business than, real estate agents can say, what we provide, their home. We found this person a home, right? That's meaningful work, right? So with restaurants, they're trusting you with what goes into their body, right? It is very intimate to make something with your hands and have somebody else consume that for their nourishment for that evening or that day. So that was always important to me. And then we started growing and kind of scaling out. And now I have 3. So I have Brick Brothers Pizza in downtown Bixby that we just opened in August. I have Cardinal Club, which is a semi-private restaurant and cigar lounge that opened in February of 2020. And then obviously Trey's Bar and Grill opened back in 2014. So yeah.
Keeps you busy.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. It really does. So yeah, that's kind of my story about how I got started and how I continue to keep going.
As far as your cigar lounge, do you guys allow people to come in and, have a cigar every once in a while that are a member? Or?
Of course. So the semi-private aspect, it's a little confusing because it's kind of an odd concept. But we needed the best of both worlds as far as the area of town we built in South Tulsa needed a high-end spot. But I really liked the idea of a private concept. Well, if you have a private concept, man, you better have a ton of members right out of the gate because you still got rent, you still got all this stuff to pay. And you just can't, I got friends of mine, right, that, are regulars at other places that are like, man, I want to come have a steak. I couldn't imagine ever turning them away, right, for dinner or whatever. So we went with the semi-private. So from 11 to 5, Monday through Friday, it's members only. And then 5 o'clock, any dinner time, it's open to the public. Really that 11 to 5 South Tulsa lacked a space where professionals that were about to sign, $1 million clients deals, like they didn't have a space where they could take them, where it was nice, where they could relax and not be pushed out the door by, hey, we're busy, we got to turn this table. Maybe it's really loud. Maybe it's Tulsa, it's a small world, especially South Tulsa. So you're going to run into 15 people, right when you walk into any restaurant. Your big client, maybe he doesn't, want to meet all these people or want all his business in the streets, if you will. So that there was an opportunity for that, and people like being a part of something. So we have cigar lockers with their names in them, and alcohol lockers with their names in them, things like that. So yeah, and now it's become a weird because you can see the lockers. So now it's becoming interesting. Like we got a lot of big bourbon guys there, and myself included, and we all kind of have this competition to see who's got the best, most beautifully stocked locker. They're like, ooh, I got this, that, and the other. I got this bottle you can't get in mine. So it's all pretty entertaining.
You got to have JFRs, right?
So what?
You got to have JFRs, right?
JFR.
Man, you need to look into it. It's the best cigar, me personally, that I've ever had.
Oh, sorry. I was still thinking bourbon. Sorry. Sorry. I was like, I just said bourbon. So we've actually got a guy that comes does hand rolled cigars at events and whatnot. So I've got a ton of those in my cigar locker because anybody who hosts an event there and they're like, hey, try some of these. And I get like a bag of them. I'm like, all right, cool. And then members will just drop off cigar. Hey man, you got to try this. You got to try this. All right, cool. And now I've transitioned away from my full-time operations role there. So now I went in Saturday, smoked a Cuban cigar and hung out and watched the horse races because one of my members co-owns a bunch of race horses. So one of his horses was racing in a big race, and then he actually co-owned Authentic that won the Kentucky Derby in 2020. So that was really cool. So we do some horse racing, like just guys getting together, smoking cigars, drinking whiskey, watching horse racing, like a stereotypical cigar lounge might be.
Life is good. You ever smoke a cigar with our boy Roy Williams?
I haven't. I've smoked cigars with a lot of, oh boy, Kenny King, Joe Washington, Greg Pruitt, Marcus Dupree, bunch of the Switzer guys, that's for sure. But not with Roy. I will though. You bet your ass.
There you go. Oh yeah,
absolutely.
So Trav, you're very involved with the Oklahoma Sooner community, and who was your favorite Sooner that you ever got to talk to, you ever met, and pretty much just why were they your favorite?
That's a good question. Favorite Sooner I've ever met. I'm gonna have a couple different answers because I have different reasons for them, right? So I spent some time talking to Barry Switzer. Got to meet him a couple of years back, and we exchanged numbers, and because I carry his wine at Cardinal Club, and we're hooked up with him like family friends through Ground Zero, his nonprofit. So getting in touch with him and just sitting and talking with him just one-on-one, like he's not and everybody that has ever met him, I'm sure everybody's had stories, like he's not too good for anybody. He's not, he'll sit there and talk with you, and he'll tell stories, and he's interested in what you're doing in your life. He may not even know you very well at all, but he wants to talk about it. And you can tell by sitting with him, even talking for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, why he was so good at recruiting and why he was so good at leading people. So the stereotypical answers are going to be there, like him. But honestly, Pat Fields is my favorite person to talk to, because I think it's lost on so many Sooner fans, his impact on the team and the locker room, and just how smart he is. I mean, there's a reason that it said in his announcement that he got an academic full ride to Stanford for this master's program. He got an athletic full ride. He got an athletic scholarship, but the academic scholarship paid him more money than his athletic scholarship would have. So this is a kid that, aside from anything having to do with football, if he was just a regular student and wanted to transfer there, would have got the academic scholarship, all this stuff. But he did that. He earned that while still going to class. Anytime I was in Norman, I'd try and hit him up. Hey man, it's Wednesday. I got meetings or whatever. You want to come out? 9 p.m. He sends me a picture. He's in the library. Like he's studying.
Wow.
Comes from a great hardworking family. Alma mater, same as mine, Union High School, stand up. So, but we've had dinner on multiple occasions where, like, when you talk with somebody and you can tell they're just destined for great, like just bigger things than most people you talk to. Most people you talk to, it's very topical. With him, it's all very much about like ideas and big plans and what the future has in store for a whole sex of people, not just him. So anyways, that's probably my favorite that I've got to sit down and really converse with often. I was about to say I could probably tell you a couple more stories, but hey, that's I'll go with those two.
Yeah, going back to the Barry Switzer stuff, man, I've had a chance to meet him and chat with him a little bit and stuff like that. And the amazing thing that really it struck me with Coach Switzer is how his ability to recall stories and things from like exact dates and times and players and things like that. And he would rattle off, hey, there was a practice in 1978 or whatever, it was August of and this, and we were doing this and that. And I'm like, this is incredible. Like, it's just the way and you're like, can you please just sit here and I'll listen to all your stories all day long. And it's incredible.
And his Twitter is like that a lot too. His Twitter is very much like that, where somebody will be like, hey, blah, 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 what do you remember about this random player? And he'll just quote tweet it with some crazy story. It's
amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you talk to a lot of those guys, like, they are the people that are hyper successful. They're just different than everybody else. Like Bill Bedenbaugh, for example. The reason he's such a good offensive line coach is because that dude just intense and just boisterous and almost, you talk about that nastiness that we want in the offensive line, and he's got that just in his feet and the way he stands and the way. I mean, you see him in the picture with the whole staff, and it's like, he's mean mugging almost like it's hilarious when you meet, like I said, these hyper successful individuals. They often, if you're a top 3 in the country at what you do, you're probably going to be whatever extreme example of what you are. I know that's a weird process to think about, but it's really fun to think like Brett Venables is a great example. I mean, just motivator, great coach, intense, everything like that. He's really like that every day of the week. It's just how he is. So it's nice knowing those guys, like, you're not faking it. They didn't make it to there because they faked their attitude or anything like that. So
and then there's the reason why that, as soon as he got hired, took off immediately. Our program is headed in such a positive direction. I think a lot of people were surprised at just the success in the short amount of time that this coaching staff has done, because they didn't mess around. They're like, hey, let's go out and let's do our thing. We're football coaches. We want to recruit. We want to do what's best for OU moving forward. And they didn't waste any time. And for me, I wasn't surprised because, I knew the kind of, leadership and things that were coming in. And it was like, we don't have time to sit and sulk and worry about what was lost and what has moved on. We've got some things to do. We've got a standard to uphold and things like that. And it's just been awesome to see. And, the panic, I think, in some people when, Lincoln left and things like that. And there was some legit, but then we figured out, our guy and man, it's just been, we've been rolling. And so it's been really, really cool to see that, a lot of people, I think, around the country were really surprised at just, how well we were to hold a top 10 class together. And I mean, we're still not done. We've got a few more days, but it's been really, really awesome to see. And then especially Sooner Nation kind of rallying around, BV as he came in and the staff, and it's been really cool, and I'm excited. And I know a lot of people are excited about the future.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
Trev, one of the things that me personally, I am very, very curious about is just a day in the life of you. I mean, what is the average day in the life? I mean, is it wake up, have a bourbon, go to work,
Yeah.
or do you go to work and then the bourbon?
I wish. It really, I'm up until kind of this transition I touched on, very, very involved everywhere, right? So there could be a day where I cook something in each restaurant if it's needed, right? Could be that I have to bartend or just move tables or interview people or like do payroll or ordering or like all that kind of stuff. So I came up as a server and bartender or whatnot and wanted to be the hands-on owner, right? So the hands-on owner worked at Trey's for years, right? 6 years, 5 years before I opened up another spot. But everybody was like, well, we still, they still want to see you here all the time, right? So I'd be serving or bartending or cooking. I love to cook, especially in the kitchens. Like I said, it's very much like a checklist. When people say you got to actually physically write the check mark on it, and it can give you that gratification and that positive, feeling. So with me, like you cook a good meal and you put a plate up and you're like, nailed it. You're like, that looks awesome. Like, can't wait. I wish I was out there seeing the look on the face, right? So the day-to-day is, man, I usually, it is good because Cardinal Club and Trey's are in the same parking lot. So, and Trey's has been around, again, so long now that that kind of runs itself for the most part. So if they need me over there, I can pop over. But I'm usually, most of my time is spent at Cardinal Club. And then, especially with the newborn restaurant, if you will, Brick Brothers, I'll roll down there, see how lunch is going, and I'll go back to Cardinal Club, run back over there, get a little lunch in me, see if my day cook Ramiro at Cardinal Club is cooking up some chilaquiles or mole or whatever. So yeah, it's crazy because I just don't have that. Like what I'm doing today, it's whatever's needed. So that's what I do. I mean, you guys have seen me. For those that watch the JP and Trav show, like I've done the podcast from the kitchen. I've done it from the office of a different restaurant. Like it's just there's no telling.
Travis is on the go, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was one I was watching. I want to say it was not this past one. It was just a couple of days ago. It was probably around 2 weeks ago. You were literally in the kitchen of your restaurant. When I popped in, yeah. You were there, and I was like, man, like this man just doesn't stop.
When they're like mute your mic, your kitchen's too loud. I'm like, I'm used to it. Like the hood vents and everything, like I'm used to it.
I can still hear you.
Yeah, it's weird to be quiet. Like it's weird. I'm just used to noise in the background. I'm used to static noise in the background, especially in kitchens. Because those hood vents, people will be like, God, that's loud. But like you stand in long enough and you usually got some music on or whatever. You're usually not thinking, man, it is loud in here.
So you talked about podcasts and just as far as being, you're obviously well known in the OU Twitter community. How did OU Rumors and News get started? Was it something that just you woke up one day and was like, man, this is going to seem fun. I should try this, because it's blown into this thing where you've had articles wrote about it and just people have reached out to you, a bunch of players, a lot of interested people have came through.
Yeah. I don't think if Lincoln would have left, I would have ever done it, because I don't think there would have been a need for it necessarily. I do think there was a legitimate need for it though. And that's why, I got messages about it. I got messages from people. I got people that are saying, oh, I bought season tickets this year because, man, you got me so excited about it on this. I'm learning so much. Hey, I joined Twitter because my nephew told me about it. I still don't know how to work it, but hey, I love the spaces. I got all this stuff, like almost every space. Like, hey, I appreciate it. I'm way more calm now, because that Sunday is when he left, because Saturday Bedlam, Sunday he leaves. Monday and Tuesday, I noticed there were some spaces and whatnot, but it was just like I couldn't hop into one because it was too just crazy of everybody talking and then nobody talking, and then when they do talk, it's people from other fan bases talking crap or us trying to figure out. So for the average fan trying to figure out what's going on, it can be hard to navigate, right? Because not everybody has a subscription to 247 or Rivals or On3 or TFB or Dirtburger, whoever, right? They don't have that. And a lot of people just rely on, I don't know, the news or the news, on where to get their news. And Twitter obviously is the most instant news you can have. But the spaces really were just a space where you could all come together and you could talk to people that knew more about what was going on than you. And because you don't know that typically on just a tweet, right? Like, it could be like you'll get a random tweet that says, oh, this is confirmed. Like, well, who's confirming it? Like, who are the sources? Like, let's talk about this. But when you get guys like Parker and Brandon and Sam Mays and Kenneth Murray and Tommy Harris and national writers and stuff like that, you can really start to get some quality information out there. So with that,
well, too, and verbalizing it is a lot better than trying to read, as in Parker says, read between the tea leaves and try to figure out a tweet. Well, you can hear this from their mouth, and you can kind of, take it in as you hear it, and you'd be like, okay, well, this makes sense, or that makes sense, or yeah, I can trust he's got the the right ear to whatever situation it is.
Well, not only that, but there's a certain personal touch to when you hear somebody's voice, right? It's not just reading it, right? You can hear, tone changes and everything like that, but you can hear fully laid out and drawn out thoughts, right? More than 140 or 280 characters you get, right? But you can talk and you can really establish relationships so much more. You've got their picture right there so often you can hear them talk. You don't have to guess. I was excited to hear what Sooner Gridiron sounded like. I was excited to hear what Grimlock sounded like. I was excited to hear what, those of you that don't know Lincoln Riley, people were excited to hear what he sounded like. So it's interesting because you don't have any frame of reference on them actually as a person. So what I think was valuable in doing the OU Rumors News is there was just chaos in the spaces, and it was chaos all over the timeline, and this, that, and the other, and everybody was upset because they just got dumped, right? So I thought, what do people need right now? They need structure, right? They need something that they can hold on to and just say, okay, we're going to get through this, right? So to me, I was like, we're going to structure this because that's what the spaces lacked at the time. Scheduled, timed, specific host, like all this specific name, that kind of space. So I was like, all right, we're going to do 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Tuesday night, we had our first one. And it had like 2,000 people in it. And I was like,
it was insane.
Jesus. So, and we had, what's crazy is I called it OU Rumors and News. And that night, because I was new to it. I had never hosted one before that. So I'm still learning how to navigate this thing. My DMs are blowing up. Everybody's like, hey, Jackson Dart's in here. Hey, Malachi Nelson's in here. Hey, whoever, right? We're like, there are players from other teams. There are recruits from other teams. There are like all kinds of stuff because it was the top news, right? The OU, what was Lincoln Riley going to do? Who's the next coach? A lot of people have the best interest in that, right? Jackson Dart wants to learn about his new coach. Malachi wants to learn about what the hell's going on and what OU fans think about it. So many people had a vested interest in it that I think that's why it got so just so popular so quickly. And then we went till 5 a.m. that night. The next night we did 9 p.m. again. And it was that structure and that calming, we all listened to all listen to Bob Stoops, all this, like listen to that talk. We talk about that. There were people within the program that actually talked with me about it and said, hey, keep pushing the positivity forward about Bob and about how we need to support everybody through signing day and all that, because they saw that a lot of ears were there, right? So they're thinking, man, we can really move some of the narrative using this platform. So, I mean, anytime somebody got up and was just like, well, just Lincoln sucks and all that, I'm like, hey, that's not changing anything. Let's talk about people who are going to be here or not. So that's what I found interesting, was like, the university was like, hey, can we shape this conversation? And I was like,
well, and like you said too, for us, I know a lot of us, and for me, I've seen it through the years and things like that. I've been a Oklahoma fan since I was a little bitty kid, so I've seen different transition and stuff like that. Even I can remember when I was a kid, my dad, ticked off in the 90s. Those are some rough years, and then when we got Stoops in '99, Dad was like, "Hey, I think we're headed back towards," and I remember him saying that, "Hey, we're headed back towards greatness," with Bob Stoops. And I was like,
yeah, right.
All right, cool. Like, yeah. And he's kind of been that.
So.
And even, yeah, well, and even when Lincoln left, I mean, the first conversation I had with my dad, and he was like, son, it's going to be fine. We're Oklahoma. And that's the calm that my dad always, because he's seen it through the years. He's been an Oklahoma kid his whole life. He's listened to the games on the radio and stuff like that. And that was his theme, was those 3 words: we are Oklahoma. We're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And that was something I leaned on. And so, and then getting in your spaces, I think I fell asleep a couple of times because it was so late, but it was that stability that you talked about. It was that calming presence, I think, of a lot of those people. Like, you're hearing their voices and you're hearing, hey, it's going to be fine. And everybody, and I dig at you this sometimes, and I mess with you and the sunshine pumper and all that stuff. And I throw that out at you. I'm like, hey, bring it on. I like sunshine.
People need sunshine, man. I mean, photosynthesis, you need sunshine for life.
Yeah. Like, and so it was that thing.
It is what it is.
Man, it was you guys, it was just amazing how I think it calmed the fan base as a whole. And now you're going to have, obviously you still have, the few, and you'll have that in every fan base. But for the most part, I think it, got us to, when we saw Venables land, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, here we go. And things like that. So it was just really cool how that evolved, Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. For me,
it was exciting.
It was really interesting for me because I was driving back from Norman. I went to go see my girlfriend, and I was driving back, and I was scrolling through Twitter while I was at a gas station pumping gas in my car, and I see this, what is OU rumors and news? It's like, I don't know what this is. It's like, I don't know what a Twitter space is. So I clicked on it. I want to say it was around 6 o'clock. I got home at 11 and we were still going. And I just listened, I didn't say a word. And I remember I hopped on, you let me be a speaker. I was like, hey, I got to go to bed, but I really appreciate you doing this, because I was one of those fans, unfortunately, that was super freaked out and was, nervous. It's like, what are we going to do?
That's natural. Yeah.
And I remember the one thing you said was, we are going to be okay. Just get through the next couple of days. We're going to get a great coach, and we're Oklahoma, and we're going to be fine. From then on, I've been telling everybody, hey, like, we're good. Whoever comes and goes, doesn't matter. We're good. And so, but yeah, it was really funny to see. I was like, man, what is OU rumors and news? And there was like 3,000 people in there or something. And it's like, what is this? And I didn't understand the reason behind it. Like, why are 2,000, 3,000 people sitting in here talking about, Oklahoma news? I love OU, but I don't understand why other people want to sit and listen to people talk about it. And then I got in there, was immediately hooked. And that you can ask everybody around the Twitter space community. I'm in them every single day. It's weird how addicting they are to just talk to people.
Yeah, I think now it's turned into more of a social type, just like chat room, to where it's not even really like OU recruiting, and I don't want to shit on anybody's spaces or anything, but it's like, it's just different than what I do. Like, what I do, like, we can get together and we try and keep it all like, hey, we're going to talk about football, all this, like, I've hopped into some of them and they go on a tangent. They don't mention OU football for 10 minutes because they're going off about this, that, or the other. And now they got, their inside jokes, whatnot, which is all cool and everything. But it's like I think some people, you probably see people hop in and hop out of them. And I've had people message me about this and they're like, oh, I hopped in and I left because they weren't, either it was dead silent, nobody was talking, or they weren't talking anything about OU football. So it's interesting to see now before it was always CFB chatter, Oklahoma edition or anything like that. And then I have OU rumors and news going on and on. And now it's like OU recruiting and news or something like that. I'm like, all right, guys, you know what you're trying to do. Like, but hey, it's a free site. They can do whatever they want. Like,
exactly.
It's kind of funny. I mean, and that's why I wait to do mine weekly, because like the news, ours are usually at least 3 hours and I want to keep it scheduled. So, I mean, if you let news accumulate and you can usually fill all that time and have things to talk about. People have questions, all that. But the ones that are just running throughout the day, it just feels more like a chat room where people are going in and out and being like, oh, I'm at lunch today or I'm studying or whatever. And oh, what are you guys doing? Like, oh, like, so, and again, more power to them. It's just, there's just different ways to use it. So I think, like I said, that structure is why we've been so successful with it. I don't get paid to do it. So I can't say, it's, whatever, but I did turn my tips on for that reason, because somebody was like, do you have a way I could subscribe to your space? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, subscribe, like pay you. I was like, I'll turn my tips on if you want to pay me. Like, I learned long ago, if somebody's offering you money, just don't say no.
Yeah, don't turn them down.
Offer it again. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So anyways, it's it's been a lot of fun, and that's why I try and do them once a week still. And we'll see what if my schedule frees up in the evenings, I might do them a little more. I might do them, based more around, whether it be signing day or whether it be the kickoff of OU softball season, whether it be basketball making the tournament, all that kind of stuff. I might just do more themed ones now.
So you talking about the just how Twitter Spaces for OU Nation kind of, Sooner Nation kind of evolved, and it leads me to a subscriber question. And I told them I would ask: are you aware of what the Sooner Soup Gang is and how it all got started?
I honestly don't. I see that Andrew is the Sooner Soup guy, or OU Sooner Soup or whatever. I don't know, because that's when I'd said, like, because somebody tagged me in I think it was a Georgia fan, Kirby Smart, that said, or OU, what's up with these OU spaces? Like, do they really have that much to talk about all day about OU football? Like, is there that much news going on? And somebody said, like, the OU rumors and news space, and somebody else tagged me in it, and they were like, whoa, that's not Travis's OU rumors and news space. That's a space. And I just said, yeah, it's OU rumors and news, but like they just said, like, OU recruiting and news. And then somebody was like, yeah, but does yours talk about soup? I was like, no. I was like, no. I don't know.
They may have made the restaurant correlation or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, no.
So what's
not Trav?
So what's the soup thing?
I can explain it to you super quickly. So, I mean, the way that you describe these other spaces, it's almost exactly how you described it. There's only so much you can talk about Lincoln Riley until everybody gets annoyed. And there's only so much Caleb Rumors stuff that you can talk about until you're annoyed. So it does evolve into this all day long kind of chat of just, hey, how you doing? All right, got to go back to work, talk to y'all later kind of thing. And me personally, I really enjoy it just because I didn't grow up in the Oklahoma area. So it's just cool to have people that like the same team I do to talk about,
right?
Whether it's football or I don't care if we talk about lacrosse, it doesn't matter. I'm game for it. And so one night we had been going all day long. I mean, it started at 11 a.m., ended at 11 p.m. And I mean, we went all day long, and Andrew Smith had his, he was having the space, and he kind of just announced that, hey, I'm making potato and chicken soup. And I will take not full credit, but I kind of got the hashtag Sooner Soup Gang started. And I pretty much just like, Andrew, you need to go out to Campus Corner, off of Asp or something, set up like a lemonade stand and sell your soup. You could be known as oh, hey, is that Sooner Soup guy? And so he thought it was funny. And I was like, you know what you should do? He was like, what's that? I was like, you should change your Twitter handle. He was like, why not? Let's have some fun. And
yeah, when I saw that change, I was like, what are you guys, what's talking?
Yeah.
It's funny
Well, and
because Sooner Soup being so close to Sooner Scoop, I thought it was a play off of that. I was like, all right.
And then TB making I don't know if you've seen his Andrew's new profile picture, but TB kind of edited him an old man picture, and Andrew's kind of been rolling with that for a while. So that's like his new. That's the new Sooner Soup guy. So
I saw him get old, and I was confused. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't spend a lot of time, like, as weird as it is now, I spend a lot more time in my notifications because I like to, like, if people are responding to me or tweet me or whatever, and I'm not on it as much as all my friends and family think I am. But I spend so much time in my notifications, scrolling notifications, talking to people, having conversations there. I rarely get over into just my feed. So every once in a while I have to, like, actually be like, whoa. Like, I need to go over and get in the feed and see what's actually going on. That's what this app's for, right? So, but I remember seeing that and I was like, he's old now and he changed his handle to something about soup. I was like, all right. I was like, what? Like, people get like inside jokes going and stuff like that in these spaces, and that's another thing that's cool about them is it's a friendship, right? I mean, we're meeting people on this app, and I mean, I'm meeting you guys because of this app and all that. So it's just another way that I don't know. I just think anybody can use the app however they want. Just don't confuse people. Don't confuse people between the two spaces.
For sure. So I got a question for you now, Trav. You're talking about kind of cutting back your responsibilities, if you will, at some of your restaurants. Kind of talk about what's next for you, or any future plans and kind of ventures and things like that moving forward. What's next for the entrepreneurship business, stuff like that?
I can't share too much yet. I can after some meetings and whatnot to firm some things up. But it's a tech company that will deal heavily with that will have a heavy NIL impact. So we just moved into where actually tomorrow we'll move into our new offices in downtown Tulsa in the One Technology Center, where City Hall is in Tulsa. We'll move into that. We got approved for the state incubator program. So we will actually, it takes on tech companies that they think are rapidly grow, like they qualify for rapid growth and all that kind of stuff. So we qualified for that program, which was fantastic. Really excited about the idea. But the announcement will be coming very soon of kind of what that details and how OU fans can get involved and different businesses can get involved that might have some interest in NIL and supporting our players.
Right on. That's exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you don't see people you see a lot of big companies, try to like Spencer Rattler, to my understanding, he partnered with a dealership and was given some cars and stuff. It's cool to see somebody start something focused on the topic at hand of whatever it is. Obviously, you can't share anything and haven't, but it seems like a spectacular idea. I really hope it takes off for you, man.
Yeah, well, I think the timing's right for us because we waited to see what the effects of early bird gets the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese, right? So with everybody kind of, Spencer signing his NIL deals, and then he throws a pick and everybody's like, well, it's because NIL is why he threw a pick, and that's dumb. That's not why people throw interceptions. But with that kind of stuff, we got to see some of the pitfalls of how their PR took a hit, or maybe they divided the fan base, divided the locker room, maybe with some of that stuff, and just the potential for those problems going forward. So this company really attacks that. Like, how do we fix that and still get all these athletes paid? So I'm just glad we waited until the second year of it being available as opposed to the first year. Because
For sure, because
who knows?
It got to the point where it was like, and to me, I still don't understand it. I had the idea of it was going to be like, if you go to Campus Corner and walk on a Balfour, it's Kyler Murray's jersey's up there. He gets some proceeds from the jersey, I don't really understand how all that stuff works. Like for the first year, I was like, man, this is dumb. But now it's like, I get it. If you blow out a knee your junior year, you got to have money. I mean, it makes the world go around, and it's what keeps you fed, and it's what puts your family through whatever you need to go through in life. And so it's cool that these athletes can get paid. And if the worst absolute possible situation comes out of it, you can go start something and do something and just get a fresh start on life and just go into a new adventure.
Well, yeah. My thing with NIL is if there's a picture of my face, like going out and somebody buys that, it's my face. Like you can say that, whatever football program popularized or whatever, like, no, any football program would have popularized. Use Spencer for an example. Spencer goes anywhere, he's popular. Here he had a Netflix deal in high school. So Caleb Williams goes anywhere, he's popular. Like it wasn't like nobody knew who these guys were, and then they put it on an OU jersey and everybody was like, oh, this guy, who's this guy, right? So with that, like, I don't like the Ohio State autograph thing, like, bugs me. Like, they are writing their own name down, and yet they don't own their own name. That really bugs me. So that's why I think it was necessary, because another student can have a YouTube channel and can blow up their YouTube channel and take on sponsors and ads, but the athletes can't. Like, that seems silly, because that athlete is bringing it likely a lot more money to that university than maybe that student with the YouTube channel does. Just as an example.
And I think too, last week, if you haven't listened to the interview, for those of you listening right now, the Zach Sanchez from last week, he made a good point about like what you just talked about. Why not? We're going out here and we're making money for the university and our programs and everything like that. Why don't we get a piece of the pie or a cut off of it? And for some of these athletes coming out of some rough situations, some upbringings, things like that, it's a chance for them to provide for their family earlier, and not, because let's face it, only a certain percentage go to the NFL and have that opportunity to make millions and millions. Why not give it to these kids that are in college right now, busting their tail, and making money, like you said, off of their name? Why can't they get a little something, in college?
Because when they were in college, they did. Because when they were in college, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And this is the uncomfortable thing. There are a lot of old white men that don't want to see young black kids get tens of thousands of dollars for playing football. It's a sad reality, but it's absolutely a reality, and you can't just ignore that. I mean, when you see the main people that are whining about, whoever getting a big deal, like they so often fit within a specific demographic.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. That's so there's so much of that. There's so much of that going on.
Well, and for me, I was for years, coming up and everything like that. And then when I finally really understood everything, I was in that same class that said, they're getting a free education, we're doing this and they get enough. But then, I think probably about 5 or 6 years ago, my mind started really changing and really understanding the whole scope of college athletics, and especially football, who brings in, the most money for your university. And it's like, all right, you walk past this store and you see a number 10 or whatever it is, and that's your jersey, but you're like, they're selling that, they're making money off of me, and I don't get a dime of it. What's wrong with that?
Well, their argument was, the NCAA's argument against that was, that has nothing to do with the player. That is, they're buying an Oklahoma jersey, right? So they had this going with like Steph Curry, and Jay Billis actually like tore him up about it on Twitter, because Jay Billis is an attorney as well, right? So it was like Davidson jersey number 30, and it was like they had like Steph Curry jersey like on their website, and he's like, oh no, you're selling that because it's Steph Curry. So then they deleted Steph Curry, and it was just Davidson jersey number 30. So he went up into the search bar and just typed Steph Curry, and the jersey popped up. It was like, you're making money off the guy's name. Like, it's as simple as that. Nobody cares about a Davidson number 30 jersey, but I have one personally because of Steph Curry and because my last name's Davidson. So I thought it was cool. So,
well, and it appeals to that fan or that little kid and for all, I love you linemen, don't get me wrong, but there's not too many people walking around with number 64 jerseys. They're walking around with the number 1 Kyler Murray jersey, the number 7, Spencer Rattler, whatever the case may be, because they see these guys and they want to be like them. They want to idolize these guys. They want to, and you wouldn't make money otherwise if it wasn't for, Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray and those guys winning Heisman trophies and their face being out there. And, it's like the NFL, you see the top selling jerseys and everything like that. It's because of what they're doing on the field and these kids and people, oh man, that's my favorite player. I'm going to go buy that jersey because that's my favorite player. That's not because it says Oklahoma across it. Yeah, that maybe have something to do with it for some of us diehards, but 9 times out of 10, you're buying it because of the player.
Yeah, there are 100 jerseys, you go 0 to 99, that you could buy that have Oklahoma on it. Why do you pick that specific number? Because it has to do with a player. Yeah, like, simple as that. Well, luckily, the quarterbacks I have talked to, they have specifically asked how our new company if they can do things to help their linemen and their receivers. So that's really cool.
That's awesome.
They're looking to. In fact, not my last conversation, but one of my conversations with Carl Williams the day that Lincoln announced, I was on the phone with Carl Williams about NIL deals and about how Caleb wanted to take care of his linemen at Oklahoma. So that was half the conversation, was how we do things for the linemen at Oklahoma. So that's been really cool. It's been consistent with the quarterbacks that I've spoken with. They understand that, and they're trying to make sure they don't get any lookout blocks.
Yeah. Everybody deserves a piece of the pie, and why not, be fair across the board, even with, women's athletics, things like that, they're going out there working just as hard as some of these people. And I think that they deserve, if they can go out and get a deal, man, all power to you. I love it.
Unfortunately, capitalism steps in to the place of communism at that point, because, if you pay everybody, it's communist. But at the end of the day, there's a reason those jerseys are selling, right? There's a reason. Sure. Here's the thing. The average offensive lineman, even in high school, they weren't getting paid then, but the quarterback was probably dating the head cheerleader and was probably homecoming king. It was probably, these advantages have not only just plopped onto the scene because of NIL. I mean, Spencer Rattler pre-NIL was still on, ESPN the magazine. He was still, having to go to photo shoots and do this, that, and the other, but now he can finally just get paid for it. So it's not like everybody is always on an even playing field, because it's just simply not the case. So, gentlemen, I've enjoyed our talk, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is great, man. We definitely we appreciate you for coming on, and if you're always welcome. So if you ever want to come on and just kind of shoot the shit a little bit, come on and shoot us a DM. We'd love to have you back, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work, guys. I'm sure I'll see you guys around. I'll be in Norman a decent amount here shortly. So,
well, if you ever want me to bring you a JFR, man, you let me know.
Hey, I'll take you up on that. You can smoke one with me. I'll put it that way.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
Sounds even better. All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
All right, everybody. This has been your boy, Chris and Drew, the Anything OU podcast. We really hope you enjoy. We got a lot of really fun videos coming for you guys today and tomorrow and Thursday. So be looking out for the videos. We got a lot of fun interviews, like I said. And Drew, you got anything you want to leave the people with?
Hey, as always, we thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your views, your likes, all that stuff. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that notifications button so you don't miss any content. Follow us on Twitter, AnythingOU Pod. Boomer.
Sooner.